Hello and welcome back everyone to PKIdeas for another episode of Sri Lankan Masters. This time around what we were looking at is the second round of the SL Masters knockout qualifiers, and this is the second game that I played, and I was white following a win in my previous round, which you can go check out in the playlist. So what we started off with is knight f3. As you all know, I like playing knight f3. It just keeps you on your toes and keeps your opponent waiting to see what I'm going to play next. So after knight f6, all hopes of playing e4 are lost, so I played d4 g6, c4 bishop g7, knight c3, castles, bishop f4. So this is the King's Indian defense, normal variation, the King's Knight variation. So this is main line which is being played here. So he went on to play d6 as normal. Now the idea of playing bishop to f4 is obviously that you're going to stay on this diagonal over here and try and cause some trouble, just like in the London system. But in the London system, obviously you're playing stuff like e3 and then playing c4. So in this position, I just played h3. I wanted to transpose, after which knight b to d7, e3, rook e8, and bishop to h2. The idea of bishop to h2 is a bit of prophylaxis because it kind of stops him from playing e5 and attacking my bishop straight away, which means that I don't have to take d takes e5 after he plays e5. So he played e5, bishop to e2, and e4. So in this position, I play knight to d2. Currently, this pawn is a bit overloaded. I have got 1 and 2 pieces on that, and he's already got 1 and 2 pieces on it. So all I have to do is just make sure that I get a third piece on it. But it's his move first. So he played knight to b6. I played queen to c2. Once I got that third piece, I'm now going to win this pawn pretty easily. Bishop to f5. How to stop bishop to f5? You can either play castles, or what I played is g4. I just want to push his bishop away and then afterwards just take the pawn on e4. So he played bishop to c8 in this position. Another suggestion over here that computer suggests is playing bishop to e6. However, after queenside castles and then after moving this knight away, the game is pretty much a win for me, and as the engine suggests, that it's on plus 1.2, so quite a significant advantage for white. So instead, bishop to c8 was played, knight c takes e4, d5, knight takes f6. So I won a pawn for free, and game should be winning now. Bishop takes f6, c5. In this position, I don't necessarily want to open up, and the reason being is that he's still got the 2 bishops, and I've got the 2 bishops, but in terms of open activity, he's got his rook in the center, my king's still in the center, so I don't necessarily want to open up the center right here. So I played c5, knight to d7, and then queenside castles. This is really good because of the fact that my king's now out of the game, and it means that I can continue on with my chess. So here, as the engine suggests, bishop takes d4 is a suggested move, but after knight to b3, I still don't see a main continuation for him. He's still going to lose this pawn on d5, and the game's going to end up better for me anyways. So after b6, c takes b6, c takes b6, king to b1, knight to f8. So here in this position, he re-maneuvered his knight back to f8, where it kind of is supposed to be, instead of being hassle on d7. So bishop to b5. His rook's in a bit of trouble now, rook e7, and I play rook to c1, taking advantage of the open file, which I already have control of. He played h5, and I played rook h to g1, guarding the pawn. Now keep in mind that if I did do pawn takes pawn, maybe he has things like bishop takes h3, and then if h takes g6, then knight takes g6 is a feasible solution. Another thing that I have to watch out for is that if I play such move, then he also has a chance of playing bishop to f5. Not that it will work straight away because I still have bishop to d3, but it's still a hassle to deal with, and I don't want to deal with it. So instead, after rook h to g1, h takes g4, h takes g4, a6, bishop to c6. Rook a to a7, and I play queen to b3. Idea of queen to b3 is to attack the pawn on d5. Here he plays b5, and I say thank you very much for another free pawn, bishop takes d5. Over here, knight to e6 was what he played, after which knight to e4. So I'm now bringing in all of my pieces into the game. Bishop to g7, bishop to d6, rook e to d7, and I did bishop takes e6. Here in this position, the ideal move is pawn takes e6, but it's still going to be checkmate in 10 anyways under this line. So queen takes e6, rook f7, queen takes c8, queen takes c8, queen takes c8, h1, checkmate is coming soon now. Rook a7, go, check, king to 7, instead of that whole line, which basically would happen after f takes e6 back here. Instead, he decided to do rook takes d6, which is an even bigger, well, let's just say it is a blunder nonetheless, but he couldn't necessarily do anything in this position after rook takes c8, queen takes c8, bishop takes c8. The game is pretty much over, and I was just waiting for him to resign. I'm ahead on time here, and there was really no point on him playing it forward, to be honest. So rook to c6, d5, rook to c4, knight d6, rook to c5, knight to e8, bishop to h8, knight to d6, rook 8 to c7, bishop takes a6, b4, bishop to c4. Now I'm gonna chuck a battery down over on this f7 pawn. After bishop to e5, I played knight takes f7. After knight takes f7, the idea is that if he does rook takes bishop, then I take his bishop. Well, he did. So rook takes c4, knight takes e5, exactly what happened. Then rook to f4, d6 check, king to g7, e takes f4. I decided to take material first because if I was in time pressure, then it would be a better position for me if I had taken all of his pieces and pawns. So rook to c5, and then the game ended after d7, where he just resigned. So ultimately in this game, there were a lot of mistakes that were made by him, to be honest. First of all, he blundered his pawn on the center, which you're not technically supposed to do. So the idea here is that always know your opening theory when it comes to playing chess, because your opening theory is very, very valuable when it comes to playing stronger players. Or weaker players for that matter. Your games will be much simpler, much quicker, and you'll be able to win more games in general if you know your theory. So just a bit of a short game. Once again, these games are 2 minutes plus 1 second, so there isn't much substance to them, but they're interesting to look at nonetheless, about the frequency of openings played as well as what's hot right now in terms of topics. So I think that concludes the video for today and the game for today. So if you like the video, please go down below and hit the like button for me. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. What you can also do is go down on Facebook and visit our shop, PKIdeas. Just search it up on Facebook and then you'll find it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment down below if there was anything that I missed, anything that I should know, anything that I should learn, or anything that you want to see. Other than that, thank you, and I'll see you next time.